It's good to hear from somebody who's sampling what is a little bit of our new normal. We have spent the better part of 2 months putting the caveat new normal on so many of our conversations, and you're living a little bit of that right now. It's going to be a new normal for the drivers as well, Townsend. We were talking about this yesterday. It's going to be, Scott Dixon said, fly in, kind of do that one long day, fly back out. It will be unique to the racers from what they're used to. Any sort of an adjustment that you would suggest to guys who are going to have to try to do it this way?
I've had some conversations with the drivers, and I think the biggest thing is that you have all of the sort of pent-up racer mentality. You have to appreciate that these drivers have not raced IndyCars since September of last year. So huge amount of time out of the cockpit in a competitive situation. They have been sim racing. We've had 6 races of virtual iRacing on NBC. This is totally different, though. This is the real thing. And not only are they coming off such a long layoff, they're going into a race, not weekend, race day, where they're going to have one single practice session, one short 2-lap qualifying run, and then they're going to grid up side by side, not just at any racetrack, at Texas Motor Speedway, the hairiest, sketchiest track on the schedule on a Saturday night in high temperatures. And, the Tigers are loose at that point. It's going to be exciting. It'll be a little nerve-wracking. And for the drivers, it's going to be like walking out into a blizzard in terms of the visceral experience that they'll have on those opening few laps.
Hairiest and sketchiest. Why?
Because it's Texas, man. It's Eddie Gossage. It's no limits. He's the promoter there at Texas. I mean, if he could roll out a ramp at the finish line and have the guys jump through a ring of fire, he would. It's bumpy. The pavement's pretty old, as you see there. This was Herta and Joseph Newgarden going side by side last year. Look at how gray that pavement is. You can always tell pavement age by its color, its shade there. So it's well worn, not a lot of grip there. But I love it because there's character to the surface, meaning you see the cars move around. It's hard to hang on to those Indy cars. And each stint is only 35 laps because of Firestone shortening things up for some safety reasons. They weren't able to produce tires the last few months with all of their factories being closed due to COVID. So you're not running as long of a stint. It's half the length between pit stops as it used to be. That means the tires are fresher, the cars have less fuel, and drivers don't really have to worry about managing their tires as much. It's full steam, full go all the way through.
You mentioned the racer mentality earlier. That's part of your world. You were racer and racer mentality, living it week in, week out for years. Why will that be the same or perhaps heightened, given the fact that you haven't been behind a wheel for many of these guys in competition in some 9 months?
I think it's just like I said, it's the built up desire to race. I mean, what racers do is we race. We live for the moment of competition and the speed and the high wire walk, if you will, between disaster and triumph. And at Texas, those stakes are high, but we love it. But we have very little time. The drivers have very little time to kind of get acclimated. So Texas is weird, though, because it can really sort of pull you into this go big or go home mentality. If you sort of just ride around and try to play it conservative, you're going to get absolutely smoked at Texas. They're going to chew you up. And I talked to Joseph Newgarden just a few hours ago. He'll be a favorite on Saturday night, last year's champion. And he really used those exact words. It will chew you up. You have to commit. And when you have 20-plus drivers committing and going all in on a mile and a half like that, that's where the fireworks happen. So it's going to be really exciting.
Lastly, absent of a pick to win the race, does this situation favor the established teams, Penske, Ganassi, those types of teams because of the volume and the experience?
No question. I put Penske, Ganassi, and Andretti. Those have been the big three, the strongest teams for the last decade. They'll be up there again. But I think you also have to look to the experienced drivers. In IndyCar racing, we have a Tom Brady and a guy named Scott Dixon that's, won 5 championships, a bunch of races, bunch of pole positions, and he's the steady hand on the tiller. that, you know, if you give him a good car, he'll figure out a way to be at the front always. And I look at that kind of experience as super critical for Saturday night, because you're going to have to rely on something. And raw talent isn't going to be enough. You're going to need that knowledge base. And for Scott Dixon, he's been in IndyCar racers since 2001. So we're talking 18 years, 19 years of experience. And that's going to matter a lot on Saturday night.
No, you'll be socially distanced from Paul Tracy, so we won't have any viral videos of you guys trying to floss. That was a disturbing video that has made its way around the internet, but we've survived somehow. You guys have a great time. Stay safe. We can't wait to watch tomorrow night.
Thanks very much. They don't have enough Purell on the planet to handle Paul Tracy.
That should be on a T-shirt somewhere. Townsend Bell joining us there.
Hey Motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.